Hello. Emily, how
Good
are you?
morning. Hi, I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. For those who don't know, I'm Addison Pollock. I'm Director of Community Engagement with AARP Indiana, joined by.
Emily Gorman, the other Director of Community Engagement for AARP Indiana.
It's good to be with you, Emily. Um, yeah, so we were on a This Is In episode last month. We were talking about the Indiana Walking College, right? So
We
we were
were.
joined by Ruth Rosas with America Walks and Pete Fritz with the Indiana Department of Health. They gave us a whole host of information. Uh, they told us about what the Indiana Walking College is, and Ruth helps administer the program. Pete serves as a mentor, so he's sort of like a almost like an instructor as part of the program. But today we're going to hear from a different side of the equation. We're going to hear from a Walking College fellow, so that's exciting, right?
It's very exciting. Yes, I feel like it's going to give us a different perspective of what it's like to actually be in the walking college. And I'm excited for our guest today.
100%. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Linda Fitzgerald. She, as I mentioned, is a Walking College Fellow, and she's from Connorsville, Indiana. Hi, Linda. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
We're doing very
We're
well.
doing good.
So glad to have you here. So, let's just dive right in, Linda. If you don't mind giving us a brief introduction of just telling us more about yourself. According to your bio, I know you're technically retired, but you keep fairly busy. So if you don't mind just sharing more about yourself, that'd be great.
I'd be happy to do so. My my background is basically, and I use this as a metaphor, taking whole cloth, pinning a pattern on it, and engaging in the process of cutting it, putting it together, and coming up with a finished garment. In the case of my background, coming up with a finished product. So I spent 6.5 years in a hospital social service delivery. I spent a good portion of about 15 to 20 years in fundraising development, putting together projects and programs, including a very successful capital campaign. In 2000, I returned to my home community, Connorsville, Indiana, and I have been doing community development as a volunteer, work with an organization that launched Healthy Fayette County this past November. And then I'm eagerly and excited to be involved in a project that's actually international and will allow me to fly across the pond again next year. So that's kind of who I am and what I've done in the past.
Excellent.
Well, it
Thank you.
certainly sounds like you've been very busy and incredibly engaged in your community, which we always love to see. I wonder if you could also just tell us what it was about the walking college specifically that interested you, and made you want to join and be a part of it.
Well, I joined after the leadership team for Healthy Fayette County decided to focus on walking. Um, we One of the biggest focuses of our current administration is on livability, making Connorsville Fayette County a location that people want to come to, business, industry, and individuals. We have a lot of natives who moved away and are returning. And we decided that livability is such a huge undertaking that we would pick one thing that related to health and wellness. Our health rankings are no longer in the pit, but they're not far out of the pit. We have two hands out of the pit. And so Healthy Fayette County is designed to get us out and up on the ground and standing upright and moving forward. So we focused on walking. At about the same time we did that, the walking college opportunity came into my inbox, and I decided I would apply, never thinking I would get a go at it. And so that's how it came about. And it's great because it provides a background for what we're doing as volunteers in the community, and give some credibility and integrity to what we're doing. We can, when people say, why are you doing this? We can pull out this information and say, this is why we're doing it.
That's incredible. Well, I'm so glad to hear how involved you are at the local level because that's really the crux of the Walking College is activating folks so that they can make a change in their local community. That's just so great. And it's really cool to hear that you come at this from a livability perspective because that's kind of how AARP comes at this work. We have our AARP Livable Communities whole program that we work on. That's a big part of the work that we do in the state of Indiana. So, Linda, I was curious if you have a personal connection to walkability. Why is it so important for you to promote walkability in your community? We heard a little bit about the county-wide efforts, but if there's something personally that connects you to the issue, uh, I'd love to hear it.
Well, I am a little bit physically challenged, so I use a three-wheel rollator to keep me upright, to protect my back, and to make it easier to walk. So my initial interest was to make sure that we had safe, walkable areas in the community for others who enjoy, and I use that word vicariously, some kind of physical challenge. Plus the fact that we have brand new streets and great walking sidewalks downtown. And so they were done with an eye to those of us who are physically challenged. So, from a personal standpoint, I also know how important and how easy walking is for anyone who wants to stay healthy. Not everyone can join a barbell club and, work out an hour a day, every day of the week, like I used to do when I was younger. Um, and so, even if we just walk outside, walk around our house, walk to the corner, walk to the postal box, walking is something that we can do. And so, from a personal standpoint, it's something that I can do even though I'm physically challenged. Therefore, I can challenge others to do it as well.
Definitely. It's the most natural form of exercise. I love it.
Very true. One of my favorite things to do. Um, so moving on to actually being in the walking college now, and I think we're in the second half of the program. I wondered if you would be able to share what your favorite takeaway has been so far from the walking college, what you've learned, or the readings or discussions, whatever that might be. What's your favorite takeaway so far?
A couple of things. From a personal note, it's given my vintage years, it's always delightful to realize that I know something that I forgot I learned years ago. And so part of the joy of it is remembering something because one of the other fellows jogs my memory, and I can add value and benefit to what they're working on. So, I'm a teacher at heart, and so that's a delightful piece of it. The other thing that I really enjoyed, and I just did this over the weekend, there is a fellow whose name I have forgotten, but there is a video in, it's either in module 3 or module 4, in which he talks very rapidly about all of the things that he and a group of volunteers did in their community. And it started with one simple thing. He marketed the idea. People came aboard and said, we'd like to do that, we'll help you. And it mushroomed into an entire project that revamped whole portions of the community. And because that's what I'd like to see happen in my community. I thoroughly enjoyed that. And although he speaks very rapidly, and I will need to go back and listen to it again or watch it, it was a TED Talk. Um, and the videos I particularly enjoy. So, but the one with this fellow was the most exciting to me because his enthusiasm, his passion was so attractive that people joined him, and they have been successful.
I love that. Yeah, so Linda, each Walking College Fellow is supposed to put together a walking action plan at the conclusion of the program. This is a document that sets goals, strategies to solve a problem or improve an aspect of walkability in your community. Can you tell us more about, if you've done some thinking about this, what the premise might be of your walking action plan, or any ideas that you might have floating around?
Well, one of the things that we started, we had the first one in April, is called the ART stroll, and it coincides with a partnership that we formed with the Whitewater Valley Arts Association. And the second Friday evening of every month is a new exhibit at the art gallery, and the art gallery is open to the public. So we partnered with them, and we encourage people to come downtown, walk. It's now two blocks, and they're pretty big blocks. So they walk downtown. We try to have entertainment along the route, and the destination is the art gallery. So we just did a big one this past Friday. We had 70 people register. We know we had more people than that that actually attended, but the Indiana artisans were featured at our local art gallery. So that was the first thing we have done. And as part of that, we gather information from those who are on the streets, and we're at the art gallery. And so we're gathering data to help us plan for the future. And what we're learning is that people want some kind of walking club or walking groups that gives some shape and form to the whole walking piece in the community. So as part of that, we will have an event on the 5th of October. During the lunchtime, we will invite in representatives from business and industry because we want them to sponsor signage and art along the different walking paths. And we already have a trail, and we'll have a second one soon. But we have some very walkable portions of the community. So we will market those and advertise those. We'll probably have themes like a walk in the park, a day when it's women walking. We're looking at something called Walk and Talk, which is a mentoring program. So an adult with a young person that is walking along our park road, which has benches along it where they can stop and chat together. So they walk and talk together as a pair. And then back to the October 5 event. Then in the evening, we will open it up to the public because we want to hear from them. And we also will have vendors then that are handing out information, including our healthcare system, who is going to provide pedometers for those who are going to get out and walking, so we can track the mileage that we're walking, hopefully after a year, and we can go to someone like maybe AARP and talk about a grant because we walked a million or so miles in a year. So that's kind of what we're doing at this point. We had a little bit of a jump start on the college experience because we had already started focusing on walking and had already had put together a leadership team Interestingly enough, many on the leadership team do not live in Fayette County, but their organizations service the community. So there's suddenly a lot of interest in it's like, oh, this organization is out there and they're promoting walking. And it may be people who are already walking, but it's also people who hadn't thought about coming downtown to walk to the art gallery. In fact, we're learning that people who've lived here for years did not know we have an art gallery. So we also are now partnering for the broader base walking piece with our Parks and Recreation Department. So our whole idea is seeking collaborations and partnerships where we can to broaden the base so that walking becomes a community-wide, excuse the pun, exercise.
I love the pun. That was great. And I also, it sounds like things are really moving and happening in your community, which is very exciting. And there's so many different aspects to what could come from all of this. And maybe, who knows, Addison and I will get to come out and see what's happening in your community someday, which would be very exciting. But yeah, that was great. I especially love the intergenerational program, Walking and Talking. Love to hear that. Lots of great stuff. So, Linda, that is almost all we have time for today. I wondered if there's any lasting thoughts or anything you want to share before we sign off at the end of our show.
Thanks so much, Emily and Addison, for the opportunity to share. I'm always excited to share, turn the spotlight on Fayette County. Nothing that I can think of. I just I'm excited to be a part of this program and the connection with AARP, especially AARP Indiana. And I'm also excited by the interest that we're generating, not only in Fayette County, but we had a number of people from out of town who came to Connersville on a Friday evening to have dinner at one of our restaurants downtown, saw what was going on, came over, signed up, registered, and walked, and came back, and they were excited and said, we'll be back for the next one. So I just appreciate the two of you, and you're welcome to come anytime. We'd love to have you. Put
Wonderful.
October 5 on your calendar.
Will do.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. And it sounds like things are really going to just snowball and grow, and it's very exciting. So thank you, Linda, for being with us this morning and giving us your time. I just want to underscore how impressed I am with the enthusiasm that you and the ideas that you have so far from the Walking College and in your community. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see what comes from it. Over the next couple months, we are going to be featuring other fellows and mentors who are also in the Walking College, representing all the different parts of the state of Indiana where we have people from. And so please stay tuned and be sure to check our social media pages to see those new videos coming out. And with that, Addison, I don't know if there's any lasting thoughts you have before we say goodbye.
Just want to say thanks again, Linda. So glad to have you, and we're looking forward to what comes of your walking action plan.
Very exciting things to come. Well, thank you. I think that's all we have time for, and we will see everybody really soon.